You can't sleep. Your mind won't stop. The world keeps spinning, and you're exhausted carrying weight you were never meant to hold this long. But in the next 47 minutes, something will change. Because tonight, I'm taking you somewhere different. Not just in your imagination, but to a real place that exists between waking and dreaming. A coastal hotel built on ancient rocks, where a keeper named Mr. Tide has been preparing a room with your name on it. He knows you're coming. He knows what you need, and he's been waiting. This isn't just another sleep story. This is a journey. And if you stay with me, you let my voice guide you, you'll discover why thousands of travelers before you arrived, exhausted and left transformed. You'll understand what it means to finally, truly rest. So here's what I need you to do. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Take one deep breath with me and release everything you've been holding. Good. Now do you see those golden lights in the distance? That's where we're going. The Dreamy Seaside Hotel waits at the edge of everything, a refuge built not just of stone and wood, but of care, of quiet rituals, of the kind of rest that reaches deeper than sleep. There's rain soft against glass, salt-sweet air that only exists where land meets ocean, and a bed dressed in white linen with a candle burning low to guide you home. But we're not there yet. First, we have to walk this gravel path together, and I promise you every step will ease something you didn't know you were carrying. Are you ready? Then let's begin. The road winds down toward the coast, and through the mist that clings to the evening air. You see them now, those golden lights I mentioned, soft and glowing like embers scattered across the distance. They pulse gently against the darkening sky, reflected in waves that roll in from somewhere far beyond sight. The Dreamy Seaside Hotel rises ahead, perched on rocks that have held their ground against 1,000 storms. It looks less like a building and more like a beacon, a place that has always been there, waiting for you specifically. The sound of the ocean grows louder now, not rushing or demanding, but rhythmic, patient, as if it has been calling your name for miles and knows you'll arrive when you're ready. Listen to it for a moment. Really hear it. That rhythm, it's already starting to sync with your heartbeat, though you might not notice yet, but you will. The air tastes different. Hear salt and something sweeter, perhaps rain about to fall, or the memory of it. Your feet find the gravel path that curves toward the entrance, and with each step, notice how something inside you begins to ease. Some tightness in your shoulders you didn't know was there. Some tension in your jaw that's been clenched for days, maybe weeks. The wind moves around you like a companion, lifting the edges of your coat, brushing against your face with cool, gentle fingers. There's a kind of quiet here that doesn't exist in the places you've left behind. Quiet that doesn't press in, but opens up, wide and welcoming. Above, the sky is streaked with twilight, lavender bleeding into deep blue, the last traces of daylight slipping into the sea like secrets being kept. As you approach the doors, watch carefully. Now a figure emerges from the warm glow inside. He moves slowly, deliberately, as if hurrying has no place in this world. This is Mr. Tide, the hotel's keeper, and there's something you need to know about him before we go further. Something important that I'll tell you once we're inside. But first he stands in the doorway, with his hands folded loosely in front of him. His face is weathered, but kind, lined with years spent by the water, and his eyes grow blue, like the sea itself seemed to see more than they should. They see you, not just your face, but everything beneath it. Every sleepless night, every worry that followed you here, every time you've tried to rest and couldn't. He sees it all, and he doesn't judge. He simply nods. When he finally speaks, his voice is low and even, like stones being turned by the tide. You've traveled far, he says, though it isn't a question. He already knows. Welcome here. Nobody needs to rush. The sea keeps time for us, and tonight, time has decided to slow down just for you. He steps aside, gesturing you forward, and you feel it immediately, that threshold between the outside world and this place. It's real, it's tangible. When you cross it, something will shift. Are you ready? Step inside now. Inside, the entrance glows with lamplight that spills across old wooden floors, across walls painted the color of cream and faded seafoam. The air is thick with comfort. There's the scent of something baking, bread perhaps, and underneath it all, the ever-present salt carried in on the breeze. A fire crackles somewhere nearby, its sound blending with the distant murmur of waves just beyond the walls. Mr. Tide closes the door behind you, and the moment it shuts, the noise of the outside world disappears completely, not gradually, instantly, as if you've stepped into a pocket of existence where anxiety and urgency simply cannot follow. Feel that. Notice how your breathing has already begun to deepen without you trying. The floor creaks softly beneath your weight as you move forward, not in protest but in greeting, as if the building itself is saying, yes, you belong here. You've belonged here all along, you just didn't know where here was. Everything about this place feels lived in, loved, shaped by countless quiet nights and slow mornings. Mr. Tide moves toward a small wooden desk near the fire, where an old brass key rests on a bed of deep blue velvet. He picks it up, turns it over in his palm, once examining it with the kind of reverence reserved for sacred things, and then extends it toward you. This room, he says, his voice carrying the weight of something important, has belonged to many dreamers before you. Travelers who arrived tired, who needed a place to set down what they'd been carrying. He pauses, and in that pause, you can almost hear the stories of everyone who held this key before. But here's what makes tonight different, he continues, stepping closer. Every person who has stayed in this room has told me the same thing when they wake. They don't remember falling asleep. One moment they're lying there, listening to the waves. The next moment, it's morning, and they feel more rested than they have in years. He places the key in your hand, and it's warmer than you expected, as if it's been waiting in someone's palm, kept safe. Tonight, he says, his gaze steady and calm, it's only yours. And I promise you, by the time your head touches that pillow, you won't need to try to sleep. Sleep will find you. Beyond the window, the sea rolls on, endless and patient, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you feel the edges of yourself begin to soften. But before we go upstairs, there are people here I want you to meet. People who make this place what it is. The lobby unfolds before you like a scene from a memory you didn't know you had. The ceiling arches high above, crossed with dark wooden beams that seem to hold the weight of time itself. Soft light pours from lamps with amber shades, casting everything in a glow that feels both golden and hushed. The floor beneath your feet is wide planked oak, worn smooth by decades of footsteps, and it creaks as you move, not sharply, but with a low, musical sound, as if the wood is speaking in a language older than words. There's a richness to the air here, layered and warm. You catch the scent of lavender tea steeping somewhere nearby, mingling with the salt that drifts in from the sea, and beneath it all, the unmistakable smell of fresh bread cooling on a stone counter. Your stomach doesn't growl, it's more subtle than that. It's a recognition that you will be fed here. Not just food, but something deeper. To your left, a fireplace burns steadily, flames dancing behind a wrought iron grate. The fire doesn't roar or demand attention, it simply exists, patient and constant, filling the room with a heat that settles into your bones. You hear the rain begin outside, gentle at first, tapping against the windows like fingertips asking permission to enter. The sound weaves itself into the crackle of the fire, into the low hum of voices somewhere in the back rooms. And it all comes together in a kind of symphony that asks nothing of you. Just listen, just be. A woman appears from a doorway to your right, moving with quiet grace. Her name is Ella, though you don't know it yet. She's younger than Mr. Tide, but carries the same quality of unhurried presence, as if she's learned the secret of moving through the world without disturbing it. She carries a tray with a single porcelain cup, steam rising in delicate spirals, and when she sets it down on a small table near you, she smiles without saying a word. The tea smells of chamomile and honey, of things that soothe without needing to announce themselves. You lift the cup, feel its warmth spread into your palms and take a slow sip. It tastes the way comfort feels, simple, unhurried, exactly what you needed without having to ask. The heat travels down your throat, spreads through your chest, and you feel something unclench deep inside. Something that's been tight for so long you forgot it could relax. Ella lingers for just a moment, her hands folded in front of her apron, her eyes soft with understanding. Mr. Tide thought you might like something warm before dinner, she says, her voice barely louder than the rain. There's soup tonight, made with potatoes from the garden and herbs from the cliffside. Nothing fancy, but she pauses, choosing her words carefully. It's the kind of meal that reminds you what it feels like to be taken care of. Then she turns and moves back toward the kitchen, her footsteps fading into the background like a note held too long, finally releasing. You're left alone again, but it doesn't feel lonely. It feels intentional, like solitude given as a gift, like permission to just exist without performing, without explaining, without needing to be anything other than tired. A door opens on the far side of the room, and a young man steps through, carrying a wool blanket folded neatly over one arm. His name is Finn, and he has the kind of face that suggests he's spent his whole life near the water sun-kissed skin. Hair that curls slightly at the edges, eyes the color of driftwood. He nods to you in greeting, then moves past toward the staircase that winds upward into shadow. Your room's been prepared, he says over his shoulder, his tone easy and unhurried. I've adjusted the temperature not too warm, not too cool, just right. And I've opened the window just a crack, so you'll hear the waves but won't get cold. Trust me on this. Single quotes. He pauses on the third step, turns back. Oh, and if you wake up in the middle of the night and feel disoriented, don't worry, that's normal here. The dreams in this place are vivid, but good. Always good. There's something reassuring in the way he says it, as if he's tended to 1,000 rooms for 1,000 weary travelers, and knows exactly what each one needs. He disappears up the stairs, and you hear his footsteps fade into the quiet above, but his words linger. Vivid dreams. You find yourself curious about that, and that curiosity, that small spark of interest, is the first sign that your mind is beginning to shift from survival mode into something softer. Another figure appears, then, standing near the window where the rain streaks down in silver lines. She's tall and slender, with dark hair pulled back and eyes that seem to take in everything without judgment. Her name is Chloe, and she doesn't speak right away. She simply watches you with a gentle curiosity, the kind that doesn't pry but offers space. When she finally moves forward, it's with the careful grace of someone who understands the weight people carry, who knows that sometimes the best welcome is a quiet one. She extends her hand, and when you take it, her grip is firm but soft. "If you need anything tonight," she says, her voice like a calm tide, "I'll be here. Not because I'm working, this isn't that kind of place, but because some nights people wake up and need to talk, or they need tea, or they just need to know someone else is awake. I'm usually reading by the fire until dawn." So she shrugs slightly, a small smile. "You're not alone, remember that." Then she steps back, returning to her place by the window, and you realize she isn't waiting for a response. She's simply there, a steady presence, like the rain and the fire and the sea beyond the walls. These people, Lemar, Tide, Ella, Finn, Chloe, they're not staff, they're guardians. And you're beginning to understand that this hotel is less a business and more a sanctuary. A place that exists specifically for people like you. People who need to remember what rest feels like. The rain has softened to a mist now, hanging in the air like a veil between you and the world. You find yourself drawn to the door, to the sound of the waves that seem closer now, louder, as if they've been waiting for you to step outside. Mr. Tide appears beside you. You didn't hear him approach, but somehow you're not surprised. He moves like the tide itself, inevitable, natural, impossible to resist. He opens the door without a word, and the cool air rushes in, carrying with it the scent of wet stone and seaweed, of things ancient and alive. He gestures toward the path that leads down to the shore, and though he says nothing, you understand this is part of the journey. This walk into the evening, this meeting with the sea. Before you can rest completely, you need to see what's out there. You need to stand at the edge and let it know you've arrived. You pull your coat tighter around your shoulders and step out into the twilight, feeling the mist settle on your skin like a blessing. The door closes behind you with a soft click, and suddenly you're alone with the ocean and the approaching night. But it's the good kind of alone. The kind that makes you feel small in a way that's comforting rather than frightening. Reminder that your problems, however heavy they feel, are just a drop in this vast ancient thing that's been breathing long before you were born and will continue long after. The path is narrow and uneven, lined with wild grasses that bend and sway in the breeze. Your feet find their rhythm easily, as if they remember this walk from some other life. Maybe they do. Maybe you've been here before in dreams, or in that space between sleep and waking where impossible things feel true. The ocean stretches out before you, vast and grey-blue, its surface rippling with light that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The pier extends into the water like an outstretched hand, weathered wood disappearing into the mist. You're drawn to it not consciously, but instinctively, the way a compass finds north. Above, gulls trace lazy circles in the sky, their cries soft and distant, more like whispers than calls. The wind moves around you, playful and curious, tugging at the edges of your coat, lifting your hair, reminding you that you're not separate from this place. You're part of it now, part of the wind and the water and the darkening sky. The air tastes of salt and rain, of something clean and endless. With each step, you feel something loosening inside something you've been holding too tightly for too long. Not letting go yet, but preparing to. Getting ready, you walk slowly, taking your time, letting the sound of the waves fill the spaces inside you that have been too quiet, too full of static and noise that pretends to be silence but isn't. Each wave arrives with a kind of certainty, a promise that it will return again and again, no matter what. There's a rhythm to it that feels older than memory, older than thought or pulse, that connects you to something larger than yourself. The sea, you realize, is like the mind in ways you hadn't considered before. On the surface, It moves and shifts, sometimes calm, sometimes restless, sometimes wild. But beneath, in the depths where light doesn't reach, there's a stillness that nothing can disturb. Even when the surface churns, even when storms rage above, the deep remains untouched, serene, waiting. And you have that too, don't you? Beneath all the thoughts that won't stop, beneath the anxiety and the endless mental chatter, there's a depth in you that's always been still, always been peaceful. You just forgot how to reach it. But tonight, you're remembering. You reach the edge of the pier and stand there, hands in your pockets, watching the lighthouse blink in the distance. Its light sweeps across the water in slow arcs, patient and steady, a reminder that even in darkness, there are things that guide us home. You think of your own nights, those long hours when sleep wouldn't come, when the world felt too heavy and the silence too loud. You remember lying awake, staring at ceilings, counting breaths, wondering if rest would ever find you again. And then you think of this, of standing here, of listening to the waves, of realizing that constancy still exists. The sea has been here longer than any worry, any fear, any sleepless night. It will be here long after. There's comfort in that, a kind of peace that settles over you like the mist. You're not the center of the universe, and thank God for that. Thank God there are things bigger than your problems, older than your pain, more patient than your impatience. The wind picks up slightly, and you turn back toward the hotel, its golden lights glowing through the fog like a promise kept. The waves continue their endless conversation with the shore, and you carry their rhythm with you as you walk, feeling it sync with your heartbeat, with your breathing, in, out, rise, fall. The path rises gently, and with each step, you feel something shifting. Not suddenly, nothing here happens suddenly, but gradually, like the tide itself, something is changing inside you. By the time you reach the door, the mist has dampened your hair, your coat, your skin, but you don't mind. It feels like a cleansing, like the sea has washed away whatever you brought with you from the outside world. You're lighter now, not floating, but less heavy, less burdened. And when you push open the door and step back inside, the warmth reaches out to welcome you like an old friend who knew you'd return. Inside, the fire still burns, and the heat settles over you like a blanket. You're ready now, ready for the next part. Ready to let yourself sink deeper into this place and whatever it has to offer. The dining room waits for you like a secret someone has been keeping. It's smaller than the lobby, more intimate, with tables set low and close to the windows where the last light of evening filters through in shades of indigo and silver. Candles flicker on each surface, their flames steady and golden, casting soft shadows that move gently across the walls like breathing. The air here is thick with the smell of something rich and comforting, soup simmering in a clay pot, bread just pulled from the oven, butter melting into warm grain. Your mouth waters before you even see the food, your body recognizing on some primal level that it's about to be nourished in a way it hasn't been in a long time. You're guided to a table near the glass, where you can see the ocean still rolling beyond, darker now, merging with the sky until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. It's just darkness and motion, and the occasional flash of white where waves break against rocks you can't see. You sit, and the chair seems to know the exact contours of your body, supporting you in places you didn't know needed support. Ella appears again, materializing from the kitchen with that same quiet grace, carrying a tray. She sets down a bowl before you without ceremony, just a quiet nod, as if she knows you don't need words right now. Words would break something. So instead, there's just the gentle clink of porcelain against wood. And then she's gone, Back to the kitchen, where you can hear soft voices murmuring and the sound of water running over dishes. The soup is golden and thick, flecked with herbs you can't quite name but recognize somewhere deep in memory, maybe from childhood, maybe from dreams, maybe from a past life if such things exist. You lift the spoon, bring it to your lips, and taste warmth that spreads through you like sunlight breaking through clouds. It's simple potato, maybe leek, a touch of cream, black pepper, something earthy you can't identify, but it feels like more than food. It feels like care made tangible, like someone decided that tonight you would be looked after, and this is how they chose to do it. Not with grand gestures or elaborate presentations, but with something honest and nourishing and made with hands that know what they're doing. Beside the bowl sits a slice of bread, still warm, its crust cracking softly when you tear it. You dip it into the soup and watch it soften, absorb the broth, become something new. The bread is dense and slightly sweet, and when you chew, you taste grain and salt and the time it took to make it. The patience required to let dough rise and rest and become itself. Outside, the rain begins again, tapping against the window in a rhythm that matches the quiet clink of spoons and plates around you. There are other guests, here you notice them now, seated at their own tables, eating in similar silence. Not because the atmosphere is somber, but because it doesn't require filling. The sound of the rain, the crackle of candles, the occasional sigh of wind against glass, these are enough. You eat slowly, savoring each spoonful, letting the warmth settle into your chest, your stomach, your limbs. There's no rush. No one is waiting for your table. No one is checking their watch or scrolling through their phone. In fact, you realize you haven't seen a single phone since you arrived. No screens, no notifications, no digital anything. Just wood and fire and food and the sound of water in all its forms. Mr. Tide sits at a table across the room, not eating but watching the sea with the kind of attention that suggests he's listening to something only he can hear. In fact, you realize you haven't seen a single phone since you arrived. No screens, no notifications, no digital anything. Just wood and fire and food and the sound of water in all its forms. Mr. Tide sits at a table across the room, not eating but watching the sea with the kind of attention that suggests he's listening to something only he can hear. After a moment, he turns his gaze toward you, and there's a gentleness in his expression that invites conversation without demanding it. He rises slowly and walks over, his footsteps soft on the wooden floor. He doesn't sit. He simply stands nearby, hands clasped loosely behind his back, and looks out at the dark water. When he speaks, his voice is quiet, meant only for you. The sea teaches us something we often forget, he says. It teaches us to let go. He pauses, lets the words settle like stones dropped into still water. Every wave that comes to shore must also leave. Every tide that rises must eventually fall. The sea doesn't hold on to what has passed. It simply moves forward, carrying only what it needs. He turns to look at you then, and his eyes, those grey-blue eyes that seem to hold entire oceans, are kind but serious. Your mind is like that too, you know. It's meant to flow, not to hold, but we forget. We grip and grasp and try to keep everything, every thought, every worry, every moment, and it exhausts us. He gestures to the water beyond the glass. Look at it, out there. It never stops moving, and yet it never gets tired. Do you know why? You shake your head, even though you think you might know the answer. Because it releases, he says simply. Every single moment, it releases. And so can you. He places a hand briefly on your shoulder, touch so light, you almost don't feel it. but somehow it carries weight, carries meaning hand. Then he walks away, back to his table, back to his vigil by the water. His words hang in the air, and you realize they aren't meant to be answered or analyzed. They're meant to be felt, to sink in slowly, like the warmth of the soup, like the rhythm of the waves, the sea as a mirror for the mind at rest. The mind as an ocean vast and deep, with currents and tides and a stillness beneath the surface that nothing can touch. Ella returns with a small plate cheese, apple slices, a handful of walnut sand, sets it down with that same quiet grace. The meal becomes a ritual, unhurried and deliberate, each bite a small act of presence. You taste the sharpness of the cheese, the crisp sweetness of the apple, the earthy richness of the nuts, and with each taste, you're more here, more present, more yourself than you've been in days or weeks or maybe months. Around you, the few other guests finish their meals and rise, moving toward the staircase that leads to their rooms. They don't speak to each other, but they nod small acknowledgements that say, "I see you, I recognize what you're doing here. I'm doing it too." And somehow that's enough. Somehow that's everything. When your plate is empty, you don't feel full so much as satisfied, as if something deeper than hunger has been addressed. Ella clears the table with quiet efficiency, and Mr. Tide rises from his seat, moving toward the doorway that leads to the stairs. He pauses there, turning back to look at you one last time. "Your room is ready," he says simply. "The sea will sing you to sleep tonight." Then he disappears into the shadows, and you're left alone with the candles, the rain, and the sound of waves that seem to breathe in time with you. You rise slowly, feeling the weight of the day beginning to lift, not gone entirely, but loosening its grip. Your legs feel heavy in a good way, the kind of tired that comes from walking and eating and being present instead of just existing. You follow the path Mr. Tide took toward the stairs, toward rest, toward the room that waits with its door already open and its window framing the endless sea. The staircase rises before you, each step worn smooth by countless feet that have climbed this path toward rest. You place your hand on the railing, dark wood polished to a soft sheen, and begin to ascend. The stairs creak beneath your weight, but it's a comforting sound, like the building is acknowledging your presence, welcoming you higher. The hallway upstairs is dim and quiet, lit only by small lamps that glow like captured moonlight, placed at intervals along walls painted a soft, faded blue that seems to shift in the low light. Your footsteps are muffled by a runner carpet, the color of deep water, and the air here is cooler than downstairs, carrying the scent of linen and lavender and something else, something that smells like peace, if peace had a scent. You pass several doors, all closed, behind which other travelers are preparing for their own journeys into sleep. You wonder about them briefly, who they are, what brought them here, what weights they're carrying, but the thoughts don't linger. They drift past like clouds, and you let them go. At the end of the hall, your door waits. You see it before you reach it, number 7, painted in faded gold, and something in your chest loosens at the sight of it. This is yours. For tonight, this small piece of the world belongs to you and no one else. You reach for the handle, turn it slowly, and the door swings open with barely a whisper. The room reveals itself in layers, like a secret being shared carefully, one detail at a time. First, the scent. Linen dried in ocean air, lavender tucked into pillowcases, the faint trace of beeswax from a candle burning on the nightstand. It's the smell of cleanliness and care, of a space that's been prepared with intention, with thought for who might arrive and what they might need. Then the sight, a bed dressed in white, its covers turned down to reveal sheets so smooth they seem to shimmer in the candlelight. The mattress is low, generous, inviting, and beyond it dominating, the far wall window so wide it feels like the sea itself has been invited inside. You step into the room and the door closes behind you with a soft click. The world outside this space ceases to exist. There's only here, only now. Only the sound of waves that reach you even through the glass low, rhythmic pulse, steady as a heartbeat, patient as breath. You move toward the window slowly, drawn by the darkness beyond. By the motion of water, you can sense more than see. Your bare feet, you don't remember removing your shoes, but they're gone now. Left somewhere near the door sink, slightly into a rug that's thick and soft, cushioning each step. At the window, you place your palms against the glass and feel the cool surface. Feel the faint vibration that comes from the waves hitting rocks somewhere below. The ocean stretches out before you, a vast darkness punctuated only by the occasional flash of white where waves break. The lighthouse blinks in the distance once, twice, its beams sweeping across the water in slow arc sand. You watch it without thinking, letting your mind empty into that rhythm. Behind you, the candle flickers gently, casting shapes that move across the ceiling like shadows of things unseen. You turn from the window and survey your sanctuary. The bed dominates the center of the room, but there are other details now that you're looking. A small table beside the bed with a vase holding a single sprig of dried sea lavender. A book with a worn cover resting there, its title too faded to read in this light. A glass of water that catches the candlelight and holds it like a prism. Everything here has been chosen with care, placed with intention, as if someone knew exactly what you would need before you did. The air in the room is cool but not cold, warmed just enough by the distant heat of the fire downstairs. And it smells of safety, of shelter, of a place where nothing is required of you except to exist. You move to the bed and sit on its edge. The mattress gives slightly, molding itself to your shape. And you realize this is the first time today, maybe the first time in days, that you've sat, without part of your mind telling you to get up, to do something, to keep moving. But here, that voice is quiet. Here, you're allowed to just be. You run your hand over the sheets and they're impossibly soft, cool against your skin. And you think about how long it's been since you've felt something this simple and been able to appreciate it. Usually, you're too busy, too stressed, too caught up in the next thing to notice texture or temperature or the way light falls across fabric. But here, you notice everything and nothing, both at once. The candle on the nightstand burns steadily, its flame dancing without urgency, and you watch it for a moment. There's something hypnotic about fire, the way it moves without ever repeating the same motion twice. The way it transforms wax into light and warmth and scent. You breathe in deeply, catching that hint of beeswax mixed with something else, vanilla, maybe, or honey, and your shoulders drop an inch without you telling them to. Outside, the waves continue their ancient work, each one arriving and departing with perfect timing, never rushing, never hesitating. You watch the motion through the window, and you realize your breathing has begun to match it, without you trying. Slow in, slow out, rise and fall, like the tide itself has taken residence inside you. The room seems to breathe too, expanding and contracting with some invisible rhythm that makes you feel held, contained, safe. The walls don't press in, they embrace. The ceiling doesn't loom, it shelters. Everything about this space says, you can rest here, you can let go here, you are safe here. You stand and move to the small dresser against the wall, where a folded nightshirt waits, simple, soft, the color of clouds. You change slowly, feeling the day's clothes fall away like shedding skin, and when you pull the nightshirt over your head, it smells faintly of lavender and sun, as if it's been hanging outside to dry in some eternal summer afternoon. Dressed for sleep, you turn back to the bed. It waits for you, patient and generous. And for the first time tonight, maybe the first time in a long time, you feel a pull toward it that isn't born of exhaustion, but of genuine desire. You want to lie down. You want to sink into those sheets. You want to let this place hold you. So you do. You slide between the sheets, and they're cool against your skin. But the kind of cool that promises to warm with your body heat, that will become exactly the right temperature in moments. The pillow accepts your head like it's been waiting for this specific weight, this specific shape, and you sink into it without resistance. The bed holds you completely now. Not like being trapped, but like being cradled, like being supported in a way that requires nothing of you except to surrender to it. And you do. You surrender. Your body, which has been tense for so long you forgot what relaxation feels like, begins to release. Not all at once, that would be too sudden, too jarring, but gradually, muscle by muscle, breath by breath. Your shoulders sink deeper into the mattress, your jaw your hands, which have been fists without you realizing, slowly unfurl like flowers opening to sun. The blanket settles over you with a weight that's substantial but not heavy, and you pull it up to your chin, feeling it cocoon you, contain you, keep you safe from nothing in particular and everything at once. The fabric is soft-worn, soft, not new soft, which is better somehow. It's been washed 100 times, dried in salt air, folded by careful hands. It carries the memory of everyone who slept beneath it, and instead of feeling strange, that feels comforting. You're part of a lineage of tired travelers who found their way here and found rest. Outside, the sea continues its ancient work, each wave arriving and departing with perfect timing, never rushing, never hesitating. The sound reaches you even through the glass, a low, rhythmic pulse, steady as a heartbeat, patient as breath. And now that you're lying here, now that you're horizontal and held, the sound seems to surround you completely. It's not coming from outside anymore. It's coming from everywhere. From the walls, from the floor, from inside your own chest. Listen to it now. Really hear it. That rhythm in and out, rise and fall. It's the same rhythm as your breathing. Did you notice? Somewhere between the dining room and this bed, between the soup and the sheets, your body synced itself to the ocean. You're breathing with it now, breathing as it were. And with each breath, you're sinking deeper into this bed, deeper into this room, deeper into a state of rest you haven't felt in so long you almost forgot it existed. Your eyes are heavy now, lids drooping, and you don't fight it. Why would you? Fighting is what brought you here in the first place. Fighting sleep, fighting rest, fighting the tiredness that your body has been trying to tell you about for weeks or months or years. But here, you don't need to fight. Here, surrender is not defeat, it's victory. You watch the candle through half-closed eyes, and its flame has become softer somehow, less distinct, blurring at the edges like it's melting into the air around it. The light it casts is golden and warm, and it moves across the ceiling in waves. Or are those real waves you're seeing? It's getting harder to tell where the ocean ends and the room begins. Harder to tell where the bed ends and your body begins. Everything is blending together, merging, becoming one continuous thing. The window shows you darkness now deep, complete darkness punctuated only by the occasional flash of white where waves break against rocks you can't see. But you're not watching anymore, not really. Your eyes are closing, have closed, are somewhere between open and shut in that liminal space where anything is possible and nothing is required. Your thoughts, which have been sharp and tangled for so long, start to soften at the edges, becoming less like demands and more like distant music, something you can hear but no longer need to follow. They drift past like clouds across a wide sky, and you don't reach for them, don't try to hold them or understand them. They come, they go, and you remain still, present, at peace. A soft knock at the door, so quiet you almost don't hear it. Or maybe you dream it. The boundary between waking and dreaming is thin here, permeable, and things pass through it easily. Mr. Tide's voice reaches you from across the room, low and warm and unhurried, though you don't remember the door opening. "Sleep well, traveler," he says, and there's something in the way he speaks that feels like a benediction, like a promise. The sea will watch over you tonight. It will keep your dreams safe. His presence feels like a hand on your forehead, checking for fever, the way someone who loves you might check. And then he's gone, or was he ever there? And the door closes with the softest click, and you're alone again. But not lonely, never lonely. The waves continue their song, the candle burns steadily, and the room itself seems to breathe around you. In and out, slow and certain, carrying you gently toward the place where rest finally lives. The waves slow now, each one arriving with more space between, as if the sea itself has decided to rest alongside you. The sound is no longer something you hear, it's something you feel. A vibration that moves through the walls, through the bed, through your body until you can't tell where you end and the ocean begins. Your breathing deepens without effort, each inhale drawing in salt and calm, each exhale releasing what you no longer need to carry. The candle has burned lower, its flame smaller now, a tiny golden point that pulses in time with your heartbeat. The room around you softens, the edges blurring, the shapes becoming suggestions rather than certainties. You're aware of the pillow beneath your head, the weight of the blanket across your chest. But these sensations feel distant, like memories of comfort rather than the thing itself. Your body is here, on this bed, in this room, but you are also somewhere else, somewhere deeper, somewhere that doesn't have walls or windows or any kind of boundary at all. Outside, the sky has gone completely dark, and the sea merges with it, becoming a single expanse of mystery and peace. The lighthouse blinks once, twice, its beams sweeping across the water in a motion so slow it feels eternal. You watch it without really watching, your eyes heavy, your lids drifting closed and then open again. Though the difference between the two states grows smaller with each passing moment. The waves whisper now, their voices barely audible, speaking in a language that predates words, that exists only in rhythm and repetition. You listen not with your ears, but with something deeper, some part of you that has always known this sound, that has been waiting to return to it. In, out, rise, fall, the ocean breathes for you now. You don't need to remember how. The rain has stopped entirely, leaving only the faintest patter of moisture sliding down the window pane, like the last notes of a song fading into silence. Or maybe it hasn't stopped. Maybe you just can't hear it anymore because you've gone somewhere the rain can't follow. Somewhere quiet, somewhere safe. Your body feels weightless now, held not by the bed but by something invisible and infinite, as if you're floating on the surface of deep, still water. There's no tension left anywhere, not in your shoulders, not in your jaw, not in the spaces between your thoughts. Everything has dissolved into softness, into warmth, into the quiet hum of existence, stripped down to its simplest form. You become aware of your own heartbeat, steady and calm, and you realize it's beating in perfect time with the waves, with the flicker of the candle, with the slow pulse of the night itself. You are not separate from these things. You are part of them. You are the sea vast and serene and untouched by anything that came before or will come after. The thoughts that were circling earlier, the worries, the plans, the endless mental calculations, they're gone now. Or maybe they're still there, but so far away that they can't reach you. Like voices calling from a distant shore that you have no obligation to answer. You hear them faintly, but you don't turn toward them. You stay here, in this depth, in this stillness, in this place beneath the surface where nothing disturbs you. Each wave that arrives seems slower than the last, stretching out in time, and the space between them grows wider, deeper, more profound. In that space, there's nothing, no sound, no light, no sensation, just pure, uninterrupted peace. Your breathing has become so slow, so steady, that it's barely there at all. In, out, rise, fall. The pauses between breaths are longer now, and in those pauses, you discover something remarkable. You don't need to breathe. The ocean is breathing for you. The night is breathing for you. The whole world is conspiring to keep you alive so that you can finally, truly rest. The candle flickers one last time and then steadies, its flame barely moving now, a perfect point of light in the darkness. Or maybe it's gone out. You can't tell anymore. Your eyes are closed, have been closed for how long now? Minutes, hours, it doesn't matter. Time has lost all meaning here. You sink deeper into the mattress, or the mattress rises up to meet you. It's the same thing, really. You and the bed are no longer separate entities. You and the room are no longer separate. You and the hotel, the shore, the sea, the sky, all of it has merged into one continuous experience of rest. Somewhere far away, you hear a bell toll once. Or was it a wave breaking, or your own heartbeat? It's impossible to say. All sounds have become the same sound, and that sound is silence, and that silence is everything. The darkness behind your closed eyes is not empty but full, filled with the kind of quiet that cradles rather than presses, that opens rather than closes. You rest in it completely, without question, without resistance. There's no part of you that's still fighting, still trying, still doing anything at all except existing in this moment. Held by forces larger and older and more patient than you could ever be. Mr. Tide's words return to you. Though you don't remember hearing them again, the sea will watch over you tonight. And it does. You feel it there, steady and patient, a presence that asks nothing and offers everything. The waves continue their ancient rhythm, slower now, softer, until they're barely there at all. Just a whisper at the edge of hearing, just a feeling in the deepest part of you. And in that feeling, you find what you came here searching for, not escape, not distraction, but release. The kind of rest that lives beyond sleep, that exists in the spaces between breaths, in the stillness beneath motion. You let yourself fall into it, trusting it completely, knowing that when morning comes, you will still be held, still be safe, still be exactly where you need to be. Your body is so heavy now that you couldn't move if you wanted to, and you don't want to. Every muscle has released completely, surrendering to gravity, to the bed, to the night. You are sinking, have been sinking, will continue to sink until you reach the bottom of this deep, dark place where sleep lives. And then, finally, you're there, at the bottom, in the depths, where light doesn't reach, and sound doesn't penetrate, and thought doesn't exist. You're floating in that space, suspended in perfect stillness, held by water that's neither cold nor warm, but exactly the temperature of your own body, so that you can't feel where you end and it begins. This is the place beneath the waves, the place Mr. Tide was talking about. The place that exists in everyone, but that most people never reach because they're too busy swimming on the surface, fighting the currents, struggling against the tide. But you're not fighting anymore. You've stopped swimming. You've let yourself sink. And in sinking, you've found what was here all along: the deep, the quiet, the peace that's always been waiting beneath everything else. The waves breathe for you now. You don't need to remember how. Each rise and fall happens without your effort, without your attention, as natural as the turning of the earth, as inevitable as morning. The ocean holds you, the night keeps you, the hotel watches over you, and you simply rest. And so the night settles, soft and complete, like a blanket pulled gently over the world. The story of the Dreamy Seaside Hotel finds its quiet end, as all stories do, but the sea continues its work beyond the window, rolling in and out with the patience of something eternal. Morning will come, as it always does, bringing with it new light and the promise of another day. But for now, there's only this: the darkness that holds you, the rhythm of your breathing, the weight of your body sinking deeper into rest. You've traveled far to reach this place, and now you're here, safe within these walls, cradled by the sound of waves that will keep their vigil until dawn. Mr. Tide stands somewhere in the hotel, perhaps by the fire, perhaps on the shore, watching over all his guests as they journey into sleep. Ella has banked the fire in the kitchen. Finn has checked every room to ensure each traveler has what they need. Chloe sits by the window with her book, a silent guardian of the night. They don't sleep, these keepers of the hotel. They don't need to. Their rest comes from knowing that you and everyone else who found their way here tonight are, finally, deeply, truly at peace. Rest now. Let yourself drift beyond the edges of waking, beyond thought, beyond the need to hold on to anything at all. There's nothing more required of you tonight. The pillow is soft beneath your head, the blanket warm across your chest, and your breathing has become so slow, so steady, that it's barely there at all. You are held. You are safe. You are exactly where you need to be. The waves continue their endless song, singing you deeper into dreams, deeper into rest, deeper into the place where healing happens and the body remembers what it feels like to be completely, utterly at peace. If you'd like more stories like this, one gentle tales for quiet nights, places to return when the world feels too loud, you'll find them here, waiting. A new story each week, a safe harbor for weary travelers, a collection of coastal dreams and peaceful journeys. Stay with us. Let the stories carry you home, again and again, whenever you need them. Sleep well, traveler. The sea will be here when you wake, and so will we. Until then, rest deeply. Let the waves breathe for you. Let the night hold you close. You are safe now. You are home. Sleep.